And I understand the interconnectedness and the interrelatedness that we have as fiduciaries, guardians. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this or not, but once in a while, it tends to get a little stressful. Would you agree? When you're an older dude and you've been practicing for a while, and I see my bow tie guys over here, they could relate to this. When you get a call from, even no matter how long you've been practicing, and the judge wants you in his chambers, it's gone from not good to downright bad, you know? The judge is one of these big guys, and he doesn't like to say a whole lot. He just sits there and leans way back in his chair. He's got this little intimidating thing going on. And you walk in, and you sit down in this little tiny chair. And he just looks off into the distance, and he says, "How's that program going?" And I said, "Well, Judge, the program's going." I said, "Judge, I got all the cases, and there's not a whole lot of resources to really help me to do a real good job. And I still have all the cases. I would never give them up, but it's kind of on a back burner right now." And he goes, "I called you in here. I've been trying to reach you, and I really wanted Cindy, his clerk, to hunt you down. Hunt you down." Now, this judge wants to hunt me down. So we're talking and talking. So I start this practice. I bring in all these cases, and I've got 60 or 70 files sitting on my desk, right? Now, I'm trying to keep the lights on. You know, I got to pay for my rent and stuff, so I'm taking on real estate cases, which are awful, and I'm doing trust and estate work, and I'm even chasing ambulances. I'm doing everything that, a normal lawyer would do and trying to make it work. And what do you think was happening to those cases that were at the bottom of that pile? Nothing. I wasn't getting to them. I was not paying attention to the bottom of the pile, to the people who were most at need, because I was too busy trying to make a living for myself. And I think that a lot of us fall into this trap. Make no mistake, you are all here today because of a certain degree of passion for this industry. And passion will bring you really far. It'll bring you, it'll conquer, it'll move mountains. But sometimes passion without a process, for many of us, becomes a problem. So after 20 years over 20 years of practicing law, after starting this nonprofit agency, we started to do a study of some of the findings of what we've seen across the country and some of the efficacy. And I want to share some of those core principles with you guys today. I'm going to give them to you in what I call 4 C's. You'll see that the book that I wrote is called The 7 C's, but we'll talk about 4 of them principally today. And I'm just going to jump right into it. The first one I want to talk to you about may seem to be the most obvious, and I think perhaps that's why it's often the most overlooked. And that is, well, I'll tell you what it is. Let me give you an example. Let's see if you guys can relate to this. I'm sitting in this conference room at one end of a massive table. And at the other end of the table is the head honcho from this particular hospital unit. And she stands up, she says, "Folks, this is a great day. This is a great day. We've all worked so very hard. This is wonderful that we're all here together because we're going to put the final cross the dots and whatever, the I, the T's, you know what I'm talking about. Dot the I's, cross the T's. We're going to do that with this plan for our friend Glenn Smith." Okay, great. I'm at the end of the table. I'm doing consulting work for the team of providers who are in the community where Glenn is going to live. So I said to this woman, to her team, I said, "What exactly does this discharge plan look like? Give me some details. I can bring it back, and I can liaise between yourselves and the community providers because I believe that is very important." Oh, so this guy on this hand says, "Oh, I've been working so hard with Glenn around transportation so he could take the bus and he'll know where he needs to go and how to get there so that he can really fend for himself." And this little high school looking kid over here says, yeah, and me. I've been working with Glenn on budgeting so that he could take that bus, get a job, and learn how to manage his money better and pay his bills and make sure he's got a place to live." And they're all clapping for each other. "Write that down, put that in the plan, that's fantastic." And this woman over here says, "I've got a plan in place so that within 6 months, Glenn's going to quit smoking." And I said, wow, boy, you guys gave this a lot of thought. And I said, but my question to you is this. Where's Glenn Smith? Glenn wasn't at the table. Glenn wasn't part of this planning. So the first C, folks, is client-centered planning. We have to be sure that we know what our clients want, what their needs are, what their goals are, and what their dreams are. That's like the number one fundamental basic duty that we have to get back to be good guardians and good fiduciaries. What I am here to try to tell you to do, though, is go back to your passion, go back to the foundations, and figure out what you're really good at, and be really good at the small stuff. Because it's the small stuff that's going to keep you on target. It's going to keep us all on track. Client-centered planning is part of the small stuff. Now, on to the next thing. Have any of you worked with a case, just a show of hands, where there had been multiple physicians on the case? Yeah? Now, how does it go when you try to get those two doctors to try to talk to each other? It's difficult, right? Is that a fair assessment? We finally get two docs to talk to each other, and he's in the hospital, and one of the doctors says, well, what's he taking? His primary care physician's giving him this, and the specialist, I don't remember if it was liver or kidney, it was something big, problematic, said, well, I'm giving him this. It turns out that this medication was contraindicated. So Larry was his name. Larry died. Larry died because he was taking prescribed medications that were contraindicated. Communication can literally be a matter of life and death. So we have client-centered planning, we have communication. Simple concepts, be good at the small stuff. Here we had a reliable reporter, we had a reliable historian that could tell us everything that was going on with her daughter. Hey, how you doing? Good. And they weren't listening. And Melissa was getting sicker and sicker. And basically, what Robin knew instinctively, mother thing, is that if we let a little bit of water out of the tub, now Melissa's dropped down to here, we can pick her back up if we catch it in time. But the more water we let out of that tub, the lower her baseline functioning level is, takes so much more resources, so much more time, so much more energy and effort by everybody to get her back up to that level. So not only did we have the hospital not communicating with the next hospital, then the next hospital, but they also wouldn't talk to the mother who was there forcing them to do their work harder. She was the squeaky wheel, and in this world of vulnerability, of disability, the squeaky wheel is not the one that gets the grease. The squeaky wheel is the one that gets shoved in the back of the shed, and we hope that it fixes itself the next time we need it. So lack of communication is paramount. What we really need is we need to apply the third C with everything that we do. We need to be consistent. Okay? We need consistent communication, consistently client-centered planning. We need consistency with regard to planning for people, policy, and processes. Does anybody here, I'm going way out on a limb, anybody here have a favorite bar or restaurant that they like to go to? Jetta. Jetta's standing up, Joe. Yeah, and why do you like to go there? Good service, good food. Anybody? Cheap drinks. Right, you know the bartender, the ambiance maybe, you know the people that are going to be there, you enjoy yourself when you go. It's just a comfort thing. And how do you feel when you go in that time and none of those people are there? Or none of that is, the bartender's not there, the kind of one you don't like. We feel kind of let down, right? We feel like, I'm not going to get my free drinks tonight. Or maybe I'm not going to get that heavy pour. Or I'm not going to be able to talk to Cliffy Clavin and Frazier sitting at the bar. For all those you guys who don't know, I'm talking about Cheers, for anybody who's not. Consistency. So consistency with regard to the comfort level that we feel when we go into the bar is basically comes from the number one psychological human need that we as humans have. We crave and must have consistency. It's more important to us to have consistency in our lives than the second most important thing, obviously, which is, oddly enough, inconsistency. We actually crave a degree of spontaneity as well. Called me up and they said, Michael, we tried to meet with Ed. Ed just won't meet with us, so we're going to have to discontinue outreach to him. And I said, wait. What do you mean you're going to discontinue outreach to him? The whole point of the plan was that you would continue to reach out to Ed because of this exact situation, right? Well, you know, we are a recovery-oriented system of care, and we honor a person's right to make bad decisions. You honor the right to make bad decisions. Of course, you know, okay, I'll take you so far along this road. We'll go down this road and I'll say that we have the right to make bad decisions. Yes, but when you're the person is making a bad decision based on the manifestation of an illness, then he's really not making a decision at all, is he? So here I go back and forth with these folks, and this is the argument that I'm trying to imagine. Being a guardian and trying to impart logic on the situation. So that was going nowhere. 3 weeks later, I managed to get the police to do a wellness check for this guy. They bust down his door. He's on the floor. He's unresponsive. He's in a coma. Ed was in acute renal failure because he had failed to eat or drink for almost 3 weeks. A guy that was working on the case, Jim is his name, he said, without trying to be funny, he said, this is so sad. He said, even my dog knows enough to get himself water when he's thirsty. Imagine how sick and gravely disabled Ed was that he didn't even have the wherewithal to get water for himself. So we were failing Ed with our lack of consistency in terms of getting out there and being people and getting out and seeing him. So they're using all their acronyms, and sure enough, they got William back, and they put him back in the facility where he was supposed to be, and that's a happy story. Not that William's doing all that great these days, but at least he was back where he belonged. But what did we do? We coordinated the fourth C. We proactively went out and coordinated this meeting. Coordination of care is everything, guys. As guardians, or people who are involved in this system, we have to work together. We have to be collaborative, and we have to be comprehensive. There, I just threw a couple more C's at you. Okay? We have to do all these things because if we don't, the whole system falls apart. We're not communicating. We're not sharing resources. All of a sudden, William's going back to Bridgeport Mental Health Center because we were proactive and we went out and got this meeting together. My friend JB over there was talking this morning about being proactive and getting to the table, getting yourself a seat at that table, right? Because when we're proactive, we're working much more effectively and efficiently than when we're not. If you do nothing else, you take these simple core concepts and you get out there and you be proactive with them. You be the team leader. You be the catalyst for change. Go back to that passion that brought you here. And by the way, congratulations for being here, because only 5% of the country, 5% of the country does anything to make themselves better in terms of professional development or personal development. 5%. That makes us all a bunch of weirdos. Right? So guys, your passion brought you here. I thank you for your passion. I honor your passion. I honor your commitment and the work that you guys do. And I thank you for being proactive and continuing it. And I thank you for having me today.